Okay. Now let's go to Volume 18. Crash landed on a planet called Eternia. You staggered from the wreckage of your ship. You were desperate for information, for provisions, and possibly a bit of medical attention, but most of all you were desperate for friendship. Is what you could say if you were written by a bunch of hacks who cared about the Aristotelian ideal of narrative unity. Possibly you could make some reference to the circle be complete in a thoughtless and imbecilic manner, but we're all in this together, right? And now that we've learned and grown enough to know there's something deep and dark and absurd brewing beneath the surface. This really isn't about friendship anymore, is it? You've got enough friends. Now you need answers. You need... Oh, goddammit. This was just the intro screen. Alright. I'm really curious about these two. So we're going to save the best for last, and we're going to go with this wonderful fellow here. Lanque Bombyx. What's next on the docket? Oh, you're really feeling like going completely off the rails. So it's a good thing the first person to ping you on your palm husk is Llanera. That nutty bitch is exactly the sort of destabilizing influence your life needs right now. Hello? My friend. Because that's what we are now. Friends. Cool, that's not a weird at all way to talk to someone. You're really loving this one. You're not sure what it is, but you're positive whatever crackpot caper this loopy troll's about to rope you into is going to be a real humdinger. There's a sense of finality in the air. You can taste it. Llanera does you the courtesy of listening to you say all that shit without getting super put off by how much of a freak you are. Listen up. So I was thinking, since us becoming friends has worked out so well, I'm starting to think maybe it'd be a good idea to give making more friends another shot after all, I guess. That's what I was thinking. So there's this party I was invited to. You see, the fellow Jades in my cloister always sneak out together these games. You gently suggest to Llanera that she should hurry the fuck up. Okay, so I'm nervous to go and I want a friend to come with me. Is okay? Is that so crazy? No, you don't think that's crazy at all. You think that sounds fantastic, actually. You don't ask for any details because who gives a shit? Hey, is this Elward's party? You show up on the block. We're not going to talk about how you got there or whatever, because what a waste of time. You're just there. Llanera's met up with you, too. Llanera mentioned there might be dancing, so you decided to really dress for the occasion. Oh man, you went fucking nuts. Like you're wearing a cape and shit, but also like fishnets, maybe a sexy bra if that's your thing. Whatever, you have to dredge out of some dumpster or another. Honestly, you can imagine whatever you want here, but I know it's a complete bullshit, and you look like a total slut. Llanera isn't wearing anything special because we would have had to pay someone to redraw all her sprites. Alright, so they're just going completely off the rails, just not caring about a single solitary fuck about anything. From the looks of it, you're heading over to somebody's hive party? You're rolling up on some kind of joint that, from past experience, you can now surmise is an alien domicile. It's pretty big and maybe belongs to someone on the blue end of the spectrum, but back here again, is this block just where all the jade-blooded schoolgirls love to get down and dirty? It hits you like a bucket of ice when you realize whose hive you're walking straight towards this time. This is Ardada's hive. Oh, this is great. Your friend Ardada. Boy, do you love Ardada. Can't wait to see her again. As you approach, you can immediately tell what kind of deal they have going on here. You can hear the tunes bumping from all the way down the block, and when you get near enough to see there are obviously a bunch of teens passed out drunk on the lawn. This is a full-blown frat house rager. Definitely doesn't seem like Llanera's sort of scene. That's because it isn't. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm doing this. You kind of can't either. You're not even in the front door, and you can already feel the sweat pouring out of your armpits. This is going to be so much fun! You pass all the smashed lawn teens and go up to the knock on the front door. You have to rap on it a few times until the telltale sound of clicking heels faintly reaches your ears. The door opens and you discover that the gracious hostess standing on the other side is none other than your best friend Ardada, woohoo! She looks surprised to see you for only a moment before her face resolves into a wicked grin. Ah, ha 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 ha! My. Look what the pervy's dragged in. Back for so soon? Back for more so soon, my sweet? So, you're not actually sure how much time has passed since you last ran into Ardada, but it doesn't feel like it can be described in a name metric by soon. You've been physically savaged so many times since then, you're not sure what you're blocking out, though. You tell Ardada that you're really glad to see her, because you totally are. You tell her you weren't expecting her to be hosting a party, though. Oh, I don't know if I'd call it a party. More of a friendly kickback of sorts. Sort of exclusive, really. All the world's finest influencers are here. How exactly did you hear about my little shindig? While I certainly consider you to be one of my finest friends, I don't recall inviting you. You gesture vaguely to Llanera. She doesn't seem to know how to lie and immediately cracks under the pressure. One of the other jades from my cloister told me to come. His name is Lanque, but I don't think he was invited either. I get the impression we kind of always come out here. Basically we're crashing, if that's okay. Well, of course. What's an informal soiree without a few entirely uninvited interlopers? Llanera doesn't seem to know if she's being sarcastic or not, and you aren't sure if she is either, to be honest. You're like, are you fucking with us? And she's like, oh, ho, ha, ha, or whatever. Of course not. I just have but one question for you, my dears. Ardada beckons you near. You obey her slavishly, then she leans her close to your ear and intones. you hereby certify under penalty of law that you are of age to view an adult content within your state of legal residence, have acknowledged the contents of this volume's accompanying mature and content description, and are comfortable with the prospect of engaging with challenging or otherwise controversial fictional material. Yes? That's good to hear. Why don't you come right in then, my dear? I don't want to see you making many little posts online about how my party was too fucking problematic for you, though. Ardata steps back and welcomes you again into her abode with a grandiose gesture. You're very, very excited for Ardata's party, and know definitely that you enjoy absolutely every second of what she has in store for you. Once you've stepped in past the threshold, Ardata blows you a toxic kiss and saunters off to mingle with your enthusiastic guests. The first thing that hits you once you're in the door is the music. It's a solid wall of bass that reverberates through your body down to your bones. The intense dance track is blasting so loud you can hardly hear yourself think. It has to be this loud to drown out all the shouting coming from the living room. As you apprehensively advance, it becomes quickly clear that Llanera is completely out of her element here. She's a bundle of nerves beside you, practically glued to your hip. When you actually step into the living room, she physically attaches herself to your arm. Wow, this is more than I was expecting. You too. It's a scene of absolute chaos. The living room is a house filled to the brim with rowdy teens dancing rhythmlessly to the pounding music. The furniture has all been knocked over, or otherwise destroyed. You can make a pretty good guess of what's filling all the red cups you see in everyone's hands. If you're about to tell Llanera, you wouldn't blame her if she wants to dip, but you can't get the words out before you're flagged down by a jay-blooded boy who's just muscled his way out of the throng of partygoers with a few of his friends in tow. Llanera, you made it. Llanera all but flings herself away from your body and freezes like a scared animal as the troll approaches. For all the commotion and ruckus, she's still remarkably well put together. The vigorous dance huddle doesn't seem to have disturbed his sharp makeup or his impeccably coiffed hair. There's a curious red stain down the front of his white shirt, though. He has a slutty-looking indigo-blooded girl on his right arm and an even sluttier-looking teal-blooded boy on his left, though he shakes them off and waves them away by the time he reaches you and Llanera at the entryway of the room. Hi, Lanque. Yeah, I'm here. You watch with amusement as Llanera practically bursts into flame under his gaze, and it only gets worse when he sidles up to give her a startlingly intimate embrace. She squeaks and tries to hug him back, but is too timid to actually touch him with her hands. You can see sweat pouring down her face. After a solid 5 seconds that seemed to include Lanque smelling Llanera's hair, he pulls back to smile down at Llanera with a heavy gaze. Llanera's face is bright green, and her eyes are bugging out of her skull from how flustered she is. But she's not into it, you don't think? It's hard to tell, but you kind of get the impression he'd be dead by now if she weren't. Either way, it's awkward. Lucky for Llanera, Lanque either doesn't notice or doesn't care. He settles into a comfortable for him posture with his arm casually around Llanera's waist and turns to you. Oh, who's this? This is my... Friend. Yeah! Lanque quirks an eyebrow. You have friends? The question seems to leave Llanera speechless, so Lanque takes the opportunity to look back at you. His eyes rake up and down your body in a way that leaves you feeling distinctly objectified. Oh, aren't you interesting? Is there a reason you look like that? What a question. He doesn't explain what that is specifically referring to, and given both your alien status and your state of dress, it could mean any number of things. You might take it as an insult if not for the way he licks his lips after he says it. He can't seem to pry his eyes off you. You look at Llanera for a cue, but she's too out of it to give you any sort of intelligible sign. So you just explained how you crash-landed on this alien planet an indeterminate amount of time ago, and you don't really know what you're doing or how much of anything about anything. The fact of your appearance could be due to either to this, or that you're generally a disaster of being irrespective of your planetary origin. How fascinating. I've never met an alien before. Well, you have, lots of times. In fact, literally everyone and everywhere here is an alien to you. You find your word diarrhea becoming more and more awkward and embarrassing as Lanque's eyes start burning a hole in the center of your chest. There's no need to be shy. I don't bite until asked. Lanque disconnects himself from Llanera as he rounds on you. It's like he's lost any interest in her existence now that you're in front of him. Llanera looks at you with a completely pathetic expression that readily informs you as to what your response needs to be. You'll be damned if you aren't going to be the best wingman possible, so you definitely ignore Lanque's blatant pass and turn the conversation back to Llanera. You ask Lanque how long he and Llanera have known each other. Lanque raises his eyebrows at the question. Well, I suppose since she was chosen for the cloister? Some number of sweeps ago. I don't remember really. It was 2.43 sweeps. Oh, right, then that many, I guess. Oh, that's a pretty long time, actually. Yeah. Pretty impressive that you managed to go a solid 2.4 of them without saying a single word to me that wasn't circulated to me secondhand from your snide gossiping behind my back. Oh, wow, talk about whiplash. Llanera's eyes got big like saucers. What? What? What are you... I don't know what you're talking about. The tone of the conversation has totally morphed from fire to ice in an instant, though neither Lanque's expression nor demeanor have changed much. He slips in the knives with all the calm composure of a casual statement. What, are you going to pretend you didn't spend the better part of the last 2.5 sweeps complaining about how much I disgusted you? Come now. You do know that everyone is aware you're a nasty little bitch, right, llanera? Uh, um, I mean, don't take it the wrong way. I really don't mind. I'm hardly in a position to criticize. I was just curious what caused the sudden change of heart after so long decrying my vain and slatternly lifestyle. I don't... Have the impending ordeals finally made the little clock start to tick down in that dry, dusty nook of yours? Did you figure I was the only one who might be loose enough to be willing to clean out the cobwebs before you get shipped off to Space Church and never have to chance again? Just wondering. There's a long, excruciating moment where llanera says nothing. She just stares up at Lanque beside her with a completely shell-shocked expression. But before you can try to pipe up in llanera's defense, she bursts into tears. Oh no. When llanera suddenly turns and makes a mad dash to run out the door and away from the party, you're torn between running after and giving this jerk a real piece of your mind. Your mind's made up when you look back at Lanque just in time to catch him rolling his eyes. Hey, you say, that was kind of rude, don't you think? Lanque snorts. Me? Rude? Are you perhaps intending to fuck with me? Clearly you haven't spent much time around this bitter pill if you think that was anything short of precisely what she deserves. You can see you maybe don't have a full enough grasp on Jade Blood Cloister social dynamics to make a definitive judgment on whether or not llanera deserved to be so ruinously owned. But she's your friend, and what good are you if you don't stick up for the people you care about? I have no idea what even got her so upset. Like I said, it's not like I really care what she says about me, but you don't get to spend as much time as she does being such a venomous little snake and act surprised when someone calls you out on it. Then why did you invite her, you ask? It seems needlessly cruel of Lanque to lead her on under false pretenses, if he never intended to be her friend at all. I promise you I had no such designs. The only reason I even invited her to this thing is that my ex is being a real blood-sucking bitch and no one else wanted to go. I was willing to give her an honest shot, but I've no time for a vicious, slandering nag who can't even admit what she is. I thought I might be interested to see what crusty little shrew might be like if you could manage to wrest her bulge free of whatever excruciating knot she's got it tied into, but I guess now we'll never know. Well, this is clearly a conversation you are going to have to Switzerland out of pretty soon. What? You try to explain the historical significance of Switzerland's political neutrality on your home planet. Lanque's eyes glaze over like he's listening to you recite a sports almanac of cricket stats. That's nice. Anyway, since I seem to have scared away my date, why don't you stay a while so I can get to know each other a little better? You seem much more interesting than she is, anyway. When did Lanque get close to you? Your heart beats a little faster when he smiles at you like that, so poisonous and shamelessly laced with intent. Llanera is definitely not the only one coming off like a snake here. I have less time to waste than most, my dear. I've never seen the value in beating around the bush. Well, maybe it's be socially prudent for you to go after llanera and make sure she's okay, but it's also not her volume of the FriendSim, so instead of doing that, you're going to stick around and see what all the spectacularly briery prima donna is all about. You've had your fucking chance to bail out of this shit show, but all that's left to do now is barrel down hills meteorically as you can manage. Fantastic. Care to dance? Why the fuck not? Lanque laughs pleasantly and reaches out to take you by the hand. The contact gives you a nice little thrill despite yourself. He's got nice hands, soft, warm, and well taken care of, and you know it's going to be one hell of a ride, wherever he is taking you. Come with me. You do. He doesn't lead you straight to the dance floor, though. He takes you around the throng of dancing partygoers over to the kitchen of the house first. You weren't expecting to find a familiar face waiting for you there. Fancy meeting you here. You don't find it that surprising, honestly. You two know each other? You could say that. That's just great. Do you give discounts to friends? I sure fucking don't. You know the price, pretty boy. Pay up. You're a little confused. What is being purchased here exactly? Edward gives you a funny look. Drone? What? Hush. You do as you're told and watch Lanque as Elbert carry out the shady transaction. Lanque hands over the credits and receives an opaque little baggie of something in return. Oh well, you guess you really don't need to see what's in the thing to figure out what it is at this point. As soon as the deal is done, Lanque has his hand at the small of your back and is deftly guiding you away from the scene of the crime. Is buying drugs a crime here? You aren't really well versed about the laws of Alternia, but it also doesn't really seem like anyone would give much of a shit about anyone doing drugs out here. You guess the clandestine transactions are just for the aesthetic. Lanque's got you back in the shady corner of the party and is pressing one of the tablets he bought into your hand with a sly grin. He expects you to join in. You're like, hold on a minute. Your experiences with alien drugs haven't really been that great. Oh. My streaming thing is flashing red at me. Have I stopped? Uh-oh. I can't tell. I'm disconnected. Oh, shoot. I think my internet fell. Okay, now we're back. Sorry about that. I think things just unplugged themselves for a second there. Alright, anyway, you're like, hold on a minute. Your experiences with alien drugs haven't really been that great, honestly, and you're not sure you're that excited for a repeat performance. Lanque's immediate response is to sneer. Oh, I see. You're one of those people. One of what people? You know, a bit boring, maybe? There are many words that could be used to describe you, but you don't think boring is a remote contender. You're always doing all kinds of unbelievably stupid shit and getting into uncountable, wacky, and life-threatening situations. Is it really that fucking much to ask for there to be one time you don't rush headfirst into doing something you know is going to fuck you up and be totally awful? Lanque's lips pressed to a thin, annoyed line. These things aren't cheap, you know. I bought them for you. Well, you didn't ask him to do that, did you? Oh, come on, you're really going to be like this? Yeah, you totally are. Lanque sighs dramatically. Fine. Lanque casts it around for the nearest victim and grabs his attention with a hand around his wrist. To your dismay, it's your sweet and innocent hot dog chum Damon. Alas, there's nothing you can do to stop him from falling prey to Lanque's wicked designs. Here, have these. Oh, yeah, great. Thanks, I love to put drugs in my way. This whole FriendSim feels very, very off. What a tragedy, but before you know it, Lanque has a hold of you again and is dragging you off. Let's just dance. You're not too much of a square to do that, are you? Of course not. Dancing is basically the one thing you've actually planned to come here and do, so that's just great. You go along with Lanque enthusiastically when he bowls you over to the writhing mass of bodies bumping and grinding on the dance floor. You get down to it. You soon discover that Lanque has a very interesting dancing style, and by interesting you mean it primarily consists of directly grinding his body against yours in an indescribably shameless fashion. But pressed in as you are from all sides by sweaty and inebriated bodies, there's not exactly much room for trolljigas to begin with. Lanque is up on you so close it's hard not to sweat. He has his hands on your hips and your face fixated with sharp eyes. His heavy stare is nearly hypnotic, so blatant and undisguised in his expression. It's clear what he wants, and maybe that's more than you're prepared to give, but when he looks at you like that, it's impossible to look away. You just go with it. Why not? It feels good, and it's not like anyone else is watching. You're surrounded by trolls, boxed in and pouring sweat, and yet it feels like you're the only two people there. Lanque draws in, teeth by your ear, and this is close you can hear him easily, even over the overwhelming pound of the bass. You have the palest skin I've ever seen. Yeah, you tell him like you're literally FFFF white, which is like blank. That makes you super racially inoffensive, FYI. You let Lanque know he can see you any way he wants, which is even more work than making a decision. Thin as paper. I can see all the way inside you. All your veins and your red blood. You smell like candy. I wonder how you'd taste. Well, you said some shit a vampire would say. Presuming I'm a rainbow drinker would be an awfully reductive and literal reading of my character. I'm just making a blatant sexual pass. Oh, okay. Good thing that's all cleared up. You take this as an opportunity to really let loose, showing off everything you've got in the sexy dance acumen department. Lanque is a little bewildered. What are you doing? You're like, what aren't I doing? There's a fire on the dance floor and you struck the match. You're just fucking it up in here, really getting it, breaking it down, bopping and crumping, whatever. You're smashing your ass into everyone around you and getting hot and heavy with those lusty moves. There's a point where Lanque has to step back. You presume to probably behold your art in all its glory. But oh dear, I'm losing my voice. But it soon becomes clear that it's not your prodigious dancing skills that have given him pause. You follow his startled gaze and see the cause for alarm. Branya is here and she looks pissed. Oh shit. Branya is still standing in the entryway contending with Ardata, and it looks like she hasn't caught sight of you yet, but Lanque isn't wasting any time. Before you realize what's happening, Lanque has you by the wrist and is hauling you away from the dance floor and off down the hallway. Lanque finds him safety in a bedroom, respite block, you remind yourself, when you take stock of the conspicuous absence of any bed and the presence of the revolting-looking slime cocoon in which trolls allegedly spend their repose. You hold each other in a tense and nervous silence pressed against the locked door. What feels like an eternity passes, your breath held. The sound of your blood rushing through your ears is almost enough to drown out the music. Seconds turn to minutes and nobody comes to find you. It seems for now you've escaped Branya's notice. When you turn your head to look back at Lanque, you find he's been staring at you for some time. I haven't been able to take my eyes off you since the moment I first saw you. You're just so interesting. You freeze like a hare staring down a snake. Lanque lifts his hand to brush a thumb across your cheek, fingers curling under your chin. You meet his eyes. His pupils are black. I want to know what it'd be like to kiss you. Lanque's tongue darts out to wet his painted lips. Do you want to kiss me? Whoa. Well, you've already clicked on at least 2 mature content disclaimers to get this far. Why the hell not? Lanque leans in and presses his lips against yours. His kisses are much more sweet than he looks. His lips are soft and wet and taste like blackberries. This beats making up with a couple of greasy teens behind a dumpster, that's for sure. When one of his sharp fangs nicks your bottom lip, you don't even care. When a drop of your blood beads out onto his invasive tongue, Lanque draws back just an inch. You taste sharp and dangerous, like a weapon. Is that a good thing? It's not a bad thing. Lanque pulls back further, his hand slips from your cheek, and his fingers trail down your neck to the rest on your collar, thumb brushing against the thumb of your pulse. Oh boy, are we about to get M-rated up in this bitch. Have you Speak of the devil. I may or may not read everything out loud, just for propriety's sake, but hey, why not? Lanque shrugs off his jacket and starts unbuttoning his shirt. Whoa, 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 is this really gonna go there? You're like, well, no, you've never done any alien intercourse with a bucket, but it doesn't look like he even has one on him at the moment. That was apparently the wrong thing to say because Lanque's face scrunches up in displeasure. Don't mock me. It's my first time. You figured laughing would constitute mocking him, so you don't, but the look you give him seems to say enough. Us Jades who live in the cloisters have been chosen for a very special duty. We're expected to adopt a chaste and aesthetic life in a service to the continuation of our species. And when we undergo our ordeals and sent off to off-world, there's no such thing as sneaking out of the caverns. If I don't do this now, when? My life is nearly over. Will you help me feel alive? Before you can answer, Branya's voice starts to rise shrill over above the heavy music. Lanque! Lanque's hand shoots up like lightning speed to draw you close. Before you can so much as gasp, he presses one of his palms over your mouth to keep you quiet. Oh shit, she's close, and from the sound of it, she's getting closer. Lanque! I know you're here. You need to come out and get home right now. Lanque leans in close to your ear. Shh. What will you do? Call on his mom. This has gotten problematic enough. Keep quiet. You want to see where this goes. Oh, we're gonna see where this goes. You keep your mouth shut and wait for Branya to pass. She only shuts for a little while longer before the sound of her voice fades away. There are too many blocks in this hive for her to be trying to break down the door of every one, and she didn't look too closely at this one. You've lost her. When it becomes clear Branya is gone for good, Lanque lets his hand fall away from your lips. You feel him smile against your ear. Where were we? You turn in Lanque's arms and look up into his blazing eyes. How can you alien pale without a bucket? I don't mind doing it without one. Sometimes it can be fun to get a little messy, don't you think? You're like, weren't you just saying this was your first time? Lanque answers you with another kiss. This time he means business. Okay, good. I skipped over. Ooh, you go all the way with the super slutty alien, then you slump out on the ground completely exhausted. Or wasted. Maybe this all went kind of off the rails, but you have to admit it would have been a real shame if you got through this entire extraterrestrial adventure and never got to smash even a single alien. What would be the fucking point, honestly? This guy really did a whole number on you. You're lying spread-eagled on the floor as Lanque is putting his clothes back on. Man, this is probably your most accomplished friendship to date. You're not quite ready to move just yet, but since you and Lanque are such good chums now, you figure now's as good a time as any to ask for his chitter. Lanque seems surprised to even hear you speak. Huh? You want to add me a chitter? Yeah, you say. Isn't that what friends do? Oh, sorry, I can't. My palm is broken right now. Lanque says, while typing away furiously on his palm husk. He doesn't even look down at you. You're like, but you're using it right now? Lanque rolls his eyes. I thought you would take the obvious hint. What obvious hint? Lanque huffs. Look, I was trying to be nice, but you just weren't that good, babe. I don't often ring the same bell twice, but if we were going to consider it, you'd have to show me a better performance than that. Whoa. Holy shit. That's that, you guessed. Your lowest low. Your first time banging an alien, and you couldn't even satisfy him. A little seed of worthlessness takes root inside of you and germinates so explosively that it fills you up until there's basically nothing left. You die of shame instantly. Shamed to death. Alright, this is not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. It's actually funny. Oh boy. I just saw something in the chat that says, just wait until you play the Valid route. Oh jeez. Okay. So now... Oh, oof, I'm too scared. Oh man, the sound of that is making you quake in your slutty little boots. Controversial fictional material say, damn, it's almost starting to sound like a woman wrote this. Count you out. Arteta clicks her tongue. She reaches for the cup of marker she keeps on the table next to the door and pulls one out. You flinch back as she wields it like a weapon to draw a big blue X on the back of your hand. Here. Now all of my fine guests will know that we've a delicate little angel on our hands. And then she turns to Llanera. What about you, my sweet thing? Huh? Oh, I'm not real, so it's cool. I'm not real, so it's cool. Very well then. Welcome to the bash. Drinks are free, but if you die of poisoning, you're contractually obligated to croak in range of one of my cameras. Toodaloo. Our daughter blows you a toxic kiss and saunters off to mingle with her enthusiastic guests. You and Llanera step past the threshold and have a look around. Llanera is visibly nervous, which is unfortunately a little bit infectious. You ask her where her friend is, she glances around a bit. Calling Branya is a good route. Oh, okay. Oh, I don't know, he's... Oh, over there. You follow her gaze into the living room area of the house. It's far from the sight outside. Music's not nearly so bumping as you originally thought it was. The whole shebang seems to have a pretty chill teenagers drinking Kool-Aid vibe, apart from the fact that it's definitely not Kool-Aid. Everyone's milling about, chatting amiably. You spot a few familiar faces, Demon flirting with roasting his crank on the hearth, Elward leaning casually against the doorframe to the kitchen and talking to a cute girl, Skilla recounting some enrapturing rodeo caper to a group of gathered trolls. It's a really diverse roster of friendly folks. You spot who llanera is pointing to at the center of the parlor's arrangement of couches and armchairs. Sat among a group of friends on the floor, the only other jade blood in the room. He's even more impeccably dressed and done up than the rest of the markedly fashion-forward jades you've met. When you catch a sight of llanera, his face lights up and he rises to make his way over and greet you. Oh, llanera, you've made it after all. I was starting to think you weren't going to come. Ah, well, surprise. I didn't. Not come, I mean. I did come. Hi, I'm here. LOL. You cringe, but Lanque seemed otherwise unaffected by llanera's astonishingly embarrassing display. He turns to you with a warm smile. And who's this? You can't help but get a little flustered when your eyes meet. His makeup and stylings might lean to the severe and feminine, but he has a contrasting, calming, and masculine voice that puts you at ease straight away. He seems to have quite the opposite effect on llanera. Before you can answer yourself, she starts blabbering a mile a minute. Oh, this is my friend. I invited them because they're an alien. I guess I almost murdered them because I was jealous of their friendship with Branya, but I didn't. And we're friends now, and I'm starting to work past my self-destructive obsession with her, and they agreed to come with me because I'm socially anxious and afraid of you. LOL. Oh, that's awfully nice of them. Hold on, sorry. I know that was a lot at once. Let me reorganize that statement into a clear, digestible list of bullet points. You've absolutely no need to do that, llanera. I've understood your points just fine. Oh, okay. Oh, Lanque looks back at you. Thank you for helping llanera feel more comfortable here. Why don't you come and sit with us? Doesn't seem quite the snake in this route. Something definitely feels off. Lanque turns and gestures to the other trolls he was speaking with before, a teal-blooded boy and an indigo-blooded girl, neither of whom you recognize. They both have notebooks in their laps. They give you friendly waves. Okay, sounds great. What are we doing? We were just in the middle of a poetry reading. I don't know if you prepared anything of your own to share, but you might find it relaxing just to listen. Poetry? Llanera's face has gone bright green. Oh boy. Why would you think I've written any poetry? I don't, really? It was merely a suggestion. Have you? Maybe. Wait. No. You put a comforting hand on llanera's shoulder, intuiting immediately that she has indeed written plenty of poetry, but is embarrassed by the prospect of sharing any of it. You remind her she's among trusted friends here, nothing to fear. Oh, I guess you're right. Well then, please come and join us. Lanque leads you back into his group, inviting you to sit down with him in a circle. Llanera goes to deliberate lengths to insert you between herself and Lanque so that you're the one sitting next to him. Why don't we pick back up where we left off? I was just about to read my latest piece. You said it sounds great. Lanque's two friends close their eyes and take each other's hands. You and llanera are both plenty surprised when Lanque and the indigo blood sitting next to llanera try to take yours to close the circle. As your obviously shocked expression, Lanque explains, we find physical contact helps us feel closer on a spiritual level during our poetry sessions. But if you aren't comfortable with it, you're under no obligation. Yeah, in this one he is capitalizing his W's instead of his V's. Definitely a lot of changes to these characters' personal beings and whatnot. We've seen things like this happen before in other routes as well. You feel really respected right now, so you and llanera both assent to join this circle, so she even takes the initiative to hold your hand first. Lanque reaches out and takes your fingers gently and hiss. You don't know what it is, but you can't help yourself from blushing shyly. His hand is soft and warm in yours, short red nails immaculately manicured. Then let me begin. This is a short poem I've written in free verse based on something haunting me as of late. Reflecting back on one of my most complicated and passionate past relationships. Forgive me, this might be a bit raw. It is, as of yet, untitled. Lanque draws a deep breath and closes his eyes. His notebook is open in his lap, and you can see the poem written there in elegant hand, but he doesn't need to look at it to recite the words. What is the meaning of a memory? A question I oft ponder, intangible and untraceable by anything but the mind, yet so potent as to leave one sick, as if poisoned or wounded in the literal sense. And what meaning is there in regret and longing? Can my lamentations change the past? Will they move the future? Oh, he's capitalized a V there. Shall they amount to much more than what rumors are my here and now? If I restrict my world to that but which is before my eyes, to those whom I may touch, to that which I might alter, one would no doubt conclude that thoughts of you are last among what I would consider to matter. And yet, still you haunt me yet, like a scar, like a disease uneager to abate. Who are you, and who am I, after so long without you? I don't know. I know, I don't know, I won't know. What I do know, but what I know and what can it even mean to know? There's another B there. No, no, no. Ah, though it so vexes me, though so little I valued it when it was before me, a thing and a you I could touch and see and know and hate and wonder, revile, worship. Now, it and you are a traceless ghost, and I preoccupy myself with nothing but futile tasks of redefinition and reinterpretation, in circuitous dwellings on that which I understand even less now, than in times when my wonderings might have been so easily answered with a question or a bite or a kiss, or even a single word spoken honestly. Pressed though I am to give color to our bond, I look not to onyx nor ash, but that which pulses within our very veins, that so blindingly jade, hard as a stone for which it is so named. Jade doesn't correspond to a color of the quadrant system. Onyx and ash is like black and... Twisted and pulled, hammered and forged, shaped unnaturally as if a chain. A stricture within scriptures, a certain so meaningful tincture. Resent you though I must, envy you though I may. Now leagues and stretches stretch between us, and I make peace with naught but what I say. You are only that which is within me, my blood and my mind, and that is at once nothing in the most elementary definition of everything. You realize you were holding your breath when Lanque finally finishes. The circle falls into meaningful silence, taut as a wire. The tension breaks when his eyes flutter open, tears spilling over his long lashes. You squeeze Lanque's hand gently. He weeps silently and beautifully, such powerful art. He musters a wan smile as he gazes across the circle at Llanera. Llanera, would you like to read next? Llanera looks stunned. There's moisture gathering in the corner of her eyes. Of course, anyone would be moved by something so emotional and raw. I guess I have a poem I could read. Llanera takes out her planner and opens it, breaking the circle of held hands. She can't recite it from memory like Lanque. When she speaks, her voice is small and timid. This one's called Still. I'm still. I sit still. I do what I'm told, still. I wonder about the way that I am, and I think, still. I see her every day, and I still miss her. She hugs me, and I still feel cold. I'm surrounded by people, and I'm still alone. I'm still me. I still love her, and I still hate that. Well, you're really proud of Llanera for opening up like this. She's crying, too, now. You reach out to take her hand behind yours. The indigo blood beside her comfortably strokes her shoulder. Sorry. It's not really good and long like yours, Lanque. I'm not really a poet or anything. I just wrote down how I feel. Llanera, it's fine. I thought it was beautiful. Poetry is about expressing yourself. It's not important that it be any set length or sound any certain way. All that matters is that you spoke in your blood pressure. And I think you've accomplished that remarkably. We're all very proud of you. You find yourself drawn into a group hug by Lanque and the other trolls. Llanera is sobbing openly now, and her raw emotion seems to have inspired similar pathos in the others. Before you know it, you feel yourself tearing up too. It feels good to get it all out. Before long, it's become clear Llanera is kind of reaching her limit. She pulls back and sniffles about something about wanting to go home. Of course, Llanera, if that's what you need. I'll talk you back to the cloister. Okay. See to it that she goes back safe, will you? You tell Lanque that of course you will, and take Llanera carefully by the hand to lead her out of the party. She squeezes your fingers back to let you know she appreciates you. You walk back from the party in a comfortable silence for a while. You glance over at her face, and it occurs to you that you've never seen Llanera this happy. Of course, this is literally the second time you've ever seen her, so you guess you don't actually have much frame of reference for what her normal emotional state actually is. You really want to encourage her on this path of recovery she's going down and all, so you ask her about, her and Lanque. What? Her and Lanque? What? We're just friends. I mean, it's not like I have a crush on her or anything. I know I've had romantic feelings for a girl before, so it'd be really problematic if I liked a boy now. Oh, you say you're sorry, you didn't know. It's okay, just don't let it happen again. What? Llanera gives a warm smile and reaches up to pull you in a hug. Thank you for helping me. I was really nervous and think if I hadn't been for your help, I wouldn't have been able to come at all. You're right, this route isn't about Lanque. This is the Llanera FriendSim, but this isn't Llanera's FriendSim. The stuff in the first route makes more sense. But I did, so thanks. It wasn't perfect, but I think I really opened up tonight. I'll see Lanque again, and you, I hope, and in the future. Things will be easier, right? You're certain they will. You put a comforting arm around her shoulders and walk her the rest of the way home. You feel like this night really taught you an important lesson. Not everything is about collecting the largest quantity of friends as is humanly possible. Sometimes strengthening your bond with someone you already know can be just as rewarding. So screw you say, to the concept of good endings and bad endings and narrative railroading. This route makes you feel heckin' valid, and that's fine by you. Valid! Oh, there are things in the chat I forgot to see. Something I find interesting is that this is at least a part of Lanque's real personality, even if it isn't a significant part, judging by some of the comments in Wanchi's route. I think this might be a big part of his character. Honestly, I'm not sure what to think yet. The Y was uppercase there, then the K. Onyx and Ash, black and gray romance. Yep, double personality is my best guess so far. Not really. I don't think this is like double personalities or like like this is actually Lanque's true thing, because where is that one character? There was this, we've had a similar route to this before. I don't remember exactly which one it is. What is it? I can't remember what the name of the person was. Fozzer? Yeah, Fozzer Velius, I think it was. Let me check up on the name. Hold on. Yeah, that one. Okay. So the route with volume 16, the one before this with Fozzer, so we had a similar thing happen because when you get to the end of one route, you know that his personality is like totally like against the Empire and like this kind of thing. Like he's totally on Tisius' side and that kind of thing. Then something happens, and when you go down a different route, he's a complete shill for the Empire. So it looks a complete 180 of his personality. The same kind of thing is happening here, but depending on the route you choose, you're changing people's personalities. Or it's not you that's changing it, it's that they are being changed by the differing circumstances of the routes. So I don't think this is like genuinely a part of Lanque's personality. I do think it's possible that we don't know which one is really him, but considering this is the bad route, I don't think this is actually him. I think his real personality would be the one that we first saw. Again, similar to Buzzer. Here to come. So I feel like this Lanque's entire FriendSim is a satire. The fandom had the biggest expectations for him, since he's the only confirmed trans character. Writers know that people will be happy one way or another, no matter how they write him, so they went with two extremes. Soft, pure, lovely trans man trope, and the problematic yeah, maybe that, but I think this is more to do with the overarching storyline of, like, this Hiveswap FriendSims. All of the stuff dealing in with the stuff about, like how the timelines are changing, not only the environments around them, but the people around them, like, all back to do the stuff with, Boldir and all like that. I think this is just an extension of that. So that's my guess on that one. Now let's go and do his, like, actual... Do you want to understand? Hold on. Yes, I want to understand. Of course you do. Your sort of creature always does. You're worn out. Last night was... Well, it sure was something. You lived properly, you learned definitely, you made choices, you had to. After all this time, here you still are. So after a day of recuperation from ragers and houses of horror, you're out walking the streets of the place you may as well start calling home. You've changed out of your party gear. I'm almost worried I've triggered the epilogue chapter from this. This message pops up after every weird end now, I believe? Oh, okay. Oh, I have? Oh, fuck. Okay, I don't want to do that quite yet. Hold on. Yeah, I don't care about save progress. I can get back to everything. Yeah, I know. I want to do everyone's, like, route first. I don't want to accidentally trigger that. Okay. And I still have to do Lanque's other route, so give me 1 second. I had a feeling it might have accidentally done that. Skipped me to the epilogue, but I'm like, oh, nope, not yet. Okay. We're gonna go in. Colin, his mom, this has gotten problematic enough. You rip Lanque's hand off your mouth and start yelling for Branya. What the fuck, dude? Lanque tries to scramble away from you to make some sort of last-ditch effort to escape, but it's no use. Branya hears it, comes running fierce. She hulks the locked door off its hinges before you can even get up to let her in. You duck flying chunks of alien architecture and scuttle off to avoid what you fear might be further alien fists. Lanque. As angry as her voice is, some of the fury goes out of her face the moment her gaze lands on Lanque's state of partial undress. She reflexively brings a hand up to shield her eyes. What in the world? Put your clothes on back on this instant, young man. Lanque freezes where he stands, apparently accepting that he's been caught. There's nowhere left to run if he doesn't intend to fling himself out a window, a sneer uncoils on his face. Oh please, save the purity act. Like this is anything you haven't already seen a dozen times before. Branya's face goes bright jade. What? What in the world are you implying? I would never. Forget llanera, you've always been the craziest bitch in this whole cloister. You know you aren't actually our Lucis, right? Branya marches right up to Lanque and slaps him hard across the face. Lanque makes an undignified noise as he recoils from the blow. It looks like that really hurt. His face is stinging bright under the handprint. He forces out a strained laugh. My word, Branya. If you wanted to join us, all you had to do was ask. Damn, you wish you had some popcorn right around now. You just kind of sit back and take it all in. Lanque's invective has its apparent desired effect, and Branya is all but steaming at this point, hands balled into fists at her sides. You kind of want to say hi to your friend, but she seems just a little preoccupied, it seems. I'm not going to rise to your petty baiting. You know you're in the wrong here. 1. We've spoken time and time again about recklessly sneaking up to these parties, and now you're dragging Llanera into your mess. 2. Llanera has told me about all the things you've been saying and doing to her, and it's completely unacceptable, Lanque. 3. You've had more than enough lectures about the way you treat your flesh quadrant partners, and this absolutely needs to stop. 4. You're coming back with me to the cloisters right now. When we meet home, we're going to have one last serious talk about this, and if there aren't changes, there are going to be consequences. Eventually, Branya's overbearing hollering seems to finally break Lanque down. He sighs, shoulders slump, and rolls his eyes. Fine, fine. Branya crosses her arms indignantly as she waits for Lanque to finish fixing his clothes. Lanque buttons his shirt and puts back on his jacket and his tie, and then he has to go retrieve his palm husk, from which he seems to have discreetly slid over to where you're standing. He casually saunters his way over, and instead of picking up his own device, snatches yours out of her hand. Hey, I've got to go, but let me give you my chitter information. Maybe we can pick up where we left off later, sweetheart. Branya stomps over to grab Lanque by the ear and drag him away, but not before he's finished putting his chitter contact into your palm husk. He shoves it back into your hand, mouths, "You'll see you later," and then is fully hollowed out of the room. Hypocrite. You need to shut your mouth. And then they're gone. Friendship accomplished, you guessed? Chitter mutuals. Main character is actually dressed like a complete psychopath. I didn't even notice that. Okay. No, I don't want to understand. I'm good. Not yet. Main character, I feel for you. Okay. Alright, I got so distracted by things happening. I was trying to think of classes. Okay. So, Lanque is definitely pretty sneaky. Let me just try to get a handle on, like, what I think his class would be. I'm kind of feeling he's probably on the passive end of things. His aspect is life, and he definitely seems pretty okay sitting happy in there, so he's probably not any kind of destruction class. He seems a bit rebellious about rules and things and whatnot like that. Definitely doesn't seem one care for following structures or that kind of thing. But definitely like trying to live his own life. Possibly a maid? Don't think so much self, no. He definitely seems to have a problem with, like, relying... Let's see. If he's a maid, then he's definitely, like, a fully realized maid, not one that's starting out on their journey. I hesitate just to give him thief, just because he's being kind of a bitch right now, but, doesn't really seem to be doing any kind of thing, or... He's not that kind of sexual predator. Probably not rogue, it's not quite that. Probably not major seer. I mean, he does kind of wear that veneer of confidence, but underneath he's like... I don't know if he's lying about the fact that he hasn't failed anyone before. I think he might be. He's very difficult to get a read on, I'm kind of gonna admit here. Closest thing I can think of is either a witch or a thief is my best guess. I'm not quite sure which one it would be. Okay, so here's the thing for Thief of Life, right? It's more that his personality matches what, like, the stereotype of a thief would be, which isn't the greatest way to class spec somebody, because people can have different personalities in the same, like, different class specs. The thing for witch is that they are pretty rebellious. Like, the reason I want to say passive is because he just seems sort of, like, chill and down to earth, especially in the, like, alternate route, right? Doesn't really seem to want to be taking the, like, the bull by the horns, but, you know, in his actual route, he is a bit more active there, so yeah, maybe the more active class. The witch is more just due to, like, he's rebelling against the concept of life that everyone else has set out for him and trying to, like, carve their own kind of life. honestly, trying to think about his class deck is more about disqualifying the ones that don't work. Like, Destruction Clash doesn't work. Self, not really. Maybe, but still kind of not really. So that's your Destruction Creation class is kind of out. Like, there's definitely better fits than those ones. Knight, possibly, depending on how you read his character. Like, if you think he's actually being genuine with you when he's undressing, or if he isn't, which kind of probably seems more like he isn't. He's not a page. He's too charismatic to be a page. Straight up. Rogue, again, like, Rogue and Knight depends on, like, you could go that route if you think that he's being genuine about, like, how he feels anxious about where his life is going, and, like, that kind of thing, if he's being honest with you. If not, then out of that, the Thief is the most likely in that square. So again, the third square, Seer Mage, Heir, Witch. He's definitely more rebellious than anything, and he just doesn't seem like the knowledgeable or profiting type, so Seer and Mage are kind of out. Again, not because he couldn't be one, it's just there are better things that could fit. And then of the two, I just Classpected someone as Heir, right? And again, like, he does seem more active, so at this point, you've got your two down to either either Thief or Witch. But again, the Thief lacks some points because it's based on just how he's personally acting and how he comes across as, rather than what he's actually doing and his goals for the future in life. So it's kind of like an 80%, 90% kind of thing, right? So I'm leaning more towards Witch of Life at this point, just because of how. Plus, there was an essence of chaos in the beginning of, like, the first route, like when I first did that, where if you notice something about the main character's character, he was just going like, friendship, yeah, that's what we're here for, right? Ha 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 ha, like almost crazy laughing about it. Like, who gives a shit what's happening? Llanera actually says at some point, it doesn't matter, I'm not real. Like, people are kind of going off the rails and getting a bit chaotic and going off the rails, that kind of thing. That is pretty much Witch of Life territory, so Thief of Life is probably a good guess. Like, there's a chance it could be valid, but I'm going to lead more towards Witch of Life at the moment. So that's going to be my read for him. Yeah, Witch of Life. Plus, there's the things to do with magic, and he did, like, kind of jokingly mention, like, oh, you know, it's kind of a stereotypical reading of my character to say I'm a rainbow drinker or whatever. So that's going to be that for that one. Okay. Sometimes it's not about gathering traits that sound sense, it's just about process of elimination. Okay, now for the fun stuff. I get to cast collect 2 in 1 because I know from their signs they have different aspects. But I'm curious about their connection with each other for sure. But you've gotten pretty good at the old friend-making game by now, but even an old hand at palling around like you, a real platonic Lothario, has bad nights sometimes. Tonight was one of those nights. It's getting close to morning and not a new friend in sight. You'd met new people, sure, but none of your conversations had panned out the way you wanted them to. Every interaction had come to a close with your friend count no higher than when you'd started, no matter how many compliments, offers to help, and other tried-and-true friending strategies you'd whipped out. You won't stand for it. You're determined to finish the night out with at least one more new buddy's name in your little black friendship book. But with the sun's about to rise, you have to admit you're cutting it a little close. As each minute ticks by, the sky gets a little lighter, and the possibility of dying an agonizing fiery death gets higher. Maybe it'd be best for you to just pack it in and find somewhere to spend the day. You pick up your trusty palm husk and call up one of the many friends you already have to ask if you can crash. Hell, maybe Skilla will be up for sharing a Recupera raccoon again. The soothing ooze has kind of grown on you, and sleeping next to Skilla has always made you feel so comfy and safe. Turns out Skilla is more than down with you coming over. Time to make tracks. You turn tail and hurry in the direction of Skilla's digs, but it's not long until you run into a distraction. That distraction is in the form of a house. It's a dark, crooked thing hulking close to the ground, slatted wood walls, sloping roofs. Vines cling to it like dust, and cobwebs cling to forgotten things in the attic. Something about it feels off. Hey, look at all the windows. A scrub. A scrub. It possesses a certain energy that sends shivers up your spine, making your hair stand on end. An instinct deep in your gut is telling you to give it a wide berth. On the other hand, it's shelter. Skill's place is a ways off yet. Well, the house is right here in front of you. It could be worth seeing if whoever lives here is willing to put up with you for the day. Approach the house. There's nothing else for it. You make your way towards the house, even though everything inside you is screaming at you to stay away. Even though with every step you take, your chest tightens and your hands tremble. By the time you reach the door, you're shaking like a leaf. Adrenaline zings through you. You can choke on it. You want to run, but you force yourself to keep moving forward. It's a slow-motion race between you and the sunrise. At this rate, the sun will make it all the way into the sky before you can even knock. You drag yourself the rest of the way, stumbling into the front step. The door knocker is an intricate yet grotesque thing, an undulating tongue lolling out of a set of sharp teeth all in cast iron. You grab the lumpy end of the tongue and bang it against the door. Nothing, fuck. Maybe you'll get lucky and the door will open? Out of options, you reach out and turn this doorknob. You can feel the first licks of sunlight against the back of your neck. Is it just you or is your skin starting to blister? But today's your lucky day. The door opens. You should feel overjoyed at your life being spared. Instead, your focus is fully on how the rolling in your belly has bloomed fully into nausea. In the distance, inexplicably, is the peal of sirens, an insistent whining noise that only continues getting louder. You shouldn't have come here, but it's not like you had another choice. You might as well see what awaits you inside, but as soon as you cross the threshold, the world lurches and you pass out. You come into a different room than the foyer, head ringing like someone just whacked it. When you sit up, there's the sound of skittering all around you like hundreds of tiny insects are scurrying away to safety. Had they been roaming the floor while you were knocked out? Gross. You prop yourself back into your hands and take a look around. Your impromptu nap has done nothing to assuage the sense of wrongness you have about this place. But hey, maybe you've managed to sleep through the day. Maybe the sun is going to set again so you can get the hell out of here. This sense of optimism is misplaced, probably, but it's not as if you can check. There are no windows. You cast your eyes around the room. Underneath the floral-peeling wallpaper, the walls are riddled with damp and mold. And on the other side of the room, an open door. Thank fuck. You aren't locked in, then. You can go look for somewhere else in this place that might have got a damn window. Lots of clown stuff. You step into a long, winding corridor. It's so cramped you feel almost as though the walls are closing in. While it had been warm enough outside, in here a deep chill settles over you, sinking deep into your bones. You're half convinced you'll never be warm again. Emanating from somewhere you can't see is music, tinny and rhythmic. It's soon interrupted by a crackling noise, like someone trying to tune into the correct station on a radio. Then one of the picture frames lights up. It looks like it's actually some sort of TV screen. Welcome. Welcome. We're glad that you're awake. And that you came to visit us. We've been really bored in the stinky old house. It really sucked. We could have just died from how boring it was. Two voices. One monotonous and so quiet you can barely hear it, and the other shrill, dramatic, like if its owner had ever learned the meaning of the words indoor voice. Catching what the quieter person is saying isn't made any easier by the high-pitched giggling that starts up in the background whenever they start speaking. So hurry up and find us. We want to play a game. Gee, why did those words give you such a profound sense of deja vu? The line goes dead. At the same time, a door pops open at the end of the corridor. You're meant to go through it, yes. You'd rather go somewhere else, anywhere else, other than through that door, but there's nowhere else to go. Or is there? Approach the door. Ooh, your wariness only intensifies once you set off down the hall because the walls start fucking bleeding. You've seen enough troll blood at this point to be able to recognize it. You know, it's so weird, but it just reminded me that, you know how, like, the rainbow is, like, the ultimate symbol of peace on Earth? It's probably, like, the ultimate symbol of violence on Alternia, because you never really want to see that much color in one place. They probably think monotone colors are safe colors, like black, gray, the skin of, like, the color of hair and skin and whatnot. Okay. Multicolored streams ooze over the wallpaper, and faded portraits lining the wall, collecting and congealing in a sticky, vicious puddles on the floor. The narrow hallway becomes steeped in the stench of copper. You walk faster, but the streams of blood follow you, sluicing down the ceiling as quickly as you walk. You reach the door, eager to get away from the grisly sight. You throw it open, but oh god, you hadn't considered what might be waiting for you behind it. What if those two shady characters plan to torture you, tie you up and steal your palm husk, texting embarrassing messages to your friends while you can only look on in horror, helpless and unable to intervene? Anything but that. It's too dark to see anything. All you can do is fumble out and feel around with your hands. Getting out of the room again is a no-go. The door swung shut behind you as soon as you stepped inside. You shuffle forward on wobbly legs. The floor feels unstable somehow, like it's going to open up and swallow you at any moment. Would it be a good idea to call out to see if anyone's here? You manage a feeble hello. Your voice echoes. A soft laughter reverberates back in response. You catch a glimpse of something from the corner of your eye, a flash of purple. There's the sensation of eyes in the back of your neck watching you, but you can't discern where the other presence in the room is, if there even is one. You kind of hate this. Of all the shitty welcomes you've received, this one takes the cake. You have to get out of here. You try to gather your panicked thoughts together to formulate a plan, but before you can do anything, a series of ropes appears seemingly from nowhere, coiling tight around you and holding you down. You're finally here. We've been waiting for you! A light comes on. It's not the warm, burning rays of sunlight. This room is windowless too, but a spotlight, bright and harsh. It lights up a broad swath of the room, bleaching it white and sending long shadows stretching away from it. You can see your captors more clearly now, 2 purple blood kids. Aside from their expressions, they look exactly the same. A manic glint sparkles in the eye of one of them, as sharp as his razor blade grin. The other looks more hesitant, almost sad. We're in Baizli! And Barzum. You're the alien, ain't you? You look weird. Your body's real weird. We wonder what color your blood is. Or how springy and slimy your acid tubes are. They squirm around like slither beasts when we slice open trolls' bellies. Are yours the same? You struggle against your bonds. You have no idea what acid tubes are, but you'd much rather they stay inside your body where they belong, thanks. You thought you'd moved past the days where you had to serve as a torture muppet. All you needed was a few hours shelter from the sun, and if it's safe to go outside again, you'd really like to leave. This was the wrong thing to say, apparently. The twins leer at you disapprovingly. Or, well, one of them looks so disappointed he just might burst into tears. The other looks just pissed. No way. We told you. We've been so bored. Do you know what it's like to be all alone, with no one else to play with, for wipes? We might have each other. We're never truly alone. That's what makes it being us so great. But it's a little difficult to play pranks on someone who always knows what you're thinking and feeling. Wait, you thought Barzum was the quiet one and Baizli was the loud one, but it looks like you were mistaken, or did they switch? If you weren't faced with the prospect of having your innards yanked out and played with by bloodthirsty children, you might be more puzzled by their statement. As it stands, you have more pressing problems on your mind right now, so their words more or less fly over your head. You squirm harder, even though it doesn't do any good. In fact, it just seems to make the twins sadder. You settle on smatter. Stop trying to get away. It's always like this. Nobody ever wants to play with us. We hate it. Now hold still. You look at them beseechingly, trying to appear as small and helpless as possible. Maybe it's a little pathetic giving puppy dog eyes to literal children, but you lost track of your own dignity a long time ago. They're not really going to do this, right? A noise starts up. It sounds suspiciously like a chainsaw. And is it just you, or is there the scent of raw meat in the air? What the hell is coming from? You continue straining in your bonds, stomach clenching in fear, bile rising at the back of your throat. They're not actually going to hurt you, right? Oh god. Oh god, oh god, oh god. You wake up gasping, but you aren't strapped down anymore. You're in the same room that you were at the beginning. What happened? The room hasn't changed since you've been gone. There's still only one way out. You really, really don't want to step through the door again, but what else can you do? You step through the door. There's the radio crackling again. Welcome. Welcome. We're glad that you're awake. Their little greeting goes on like it had before. A pre-recorded message, maybe? Your heart pounds as you step through the second door. You're hoping you'll be able to sidestep the ropes this time, but instead of getting tied up, you trip forward into a vat of what feels like glue. You are lucky enough to have your face turned away from the stickiness, so your nose is still above the surface so you can breathe, for now anyway, but you can't move. You're finally here. We've been waiting for you. You're acting like this was the first time all over again. What is this fuckery? Are they messing with you? You met already, mere minutes ago. No, we would have remembered. Meeting a weirdo like you. Stop trying to trick us. Then everything goes black for a third time. And here you are again. Are you for real? This time you get shoved into a box. You're pretty sure you pass out while you're in the middle of getting buried alive. You come to in the room you're beginning to think it was yours yet again. You pass out 5 times, 10. You begin to lose count. You never pass out at the same point during the twins' shenanigans, but it inevitably happens, and you always end up right back where you started. The worst part is that while your conversation with the twins stays the same, the way they trap you changes. You get trussed upside down from the ceiling, dunked into a water tank, scrabbling to get out while your lungs begin to burn from lack of air. Every time you black out before you can die, but you've almost died dozens of times by now. It's really beginning to stress you out. You have to be stuck in some sort of time loop. You see this sort of thing in movies all the time, and everyone knows that movies are the best points of reference for one's actual life. The hero wakes up to the strains of an old pop song playing on the radio and reminisces over their childhood journals, which sends them back in time where they have to stop a crime before it happens, or maybe you were thinking of a different movie. Anyway, your point is that you have to find a way out of the loop. Hopefully you won't have to do anything too well, like stab your past self and then throw your own bloody corpse out of the window. That would really, really blow. Unfortunately, you can't seem to find any clues indicating what you'd do next. You always pass out. The twins are always excited to play with / torture you. They don't seem to be aware that any of this is happening from what you can tell. After around 20-something or other, you've had it. Enough is enough. You can't take any more giggling, any more of their hard damp floor, any more excruciating games. You might not be any closer to figuring out what to do, but you have to try something. Remember who you are. There's one thing you've been doing wrong, making this all about escape. You've been so preoccupied with not getting sliced to pieces with the knives and everything that you lost track of what's truly important. The word that echoes in your heart when you rise at dusk and pulses through your bloodstream during the rest of your waking hours until it's time to go to sleep. The word that's kicked off every single narrative you've starred in this far. Friendship. You'll do things differently this time. You're going to bring yourself to truly care about these creepy clown children, goddammit, even if it's the last thing you do. And with the way things are going, it very well could be. Their MO is oddly benign this time, a tickling machine. Unfortunately, it's a little difficult for you to talk to them through all the laughter. What are those noises they're making? I think they're trying to tell us something. Miraculously, their tickling stops. You wheeze, trying to catch your breath, hoping to God you haven't pissed yourself. You managed to not wet yourself out of fear until now, but it'd be just the worst to have broken your streak due to laughing too hard. What is it about clowns and you divesting your body of waste? After assuring yourself that their underwear is blessedly dry, you ask, if they kill you, won't they just be alone again? How is that beneficial for anyone? They'll be bored and you'll be dead, which you would really rather not be. Their creeping saccharine smiles transform into matching expressions of confusion. Barzum puts a finger to her chin, cocking her head to one side as if deep in thought, almost like a puppy. Under any other circumstances, you might even consider it cute. What are you talking about? We don't want to kill you. Maybe just cut you a little. You'll heal right back up again. Don't be such a wiggler. Some of the things you've tried to inflict on you would have definitely taken more than your regular human healing functions to recover from. But wait, you think back to Remley taking a whole-ass club in her side and acting like it was no big. She said something about higher blood colors being able to take more of a beating, too. Are the twins assuming that's just the case for everyone? God, this is what happens when all the adults in the society go off planet and leave a bunch of zoo animals to bring up their kids. Or, well, trolls also solve most of their problems by killing each other. You can't discount that either, we suppose. You take a closer look at their twins. There isn't any malice in either of their faces. The only emotion you can discern is idle curiosity. You decide to take that as encouragement. You explain that, no, you won't heal up from being sliced open, or from an on-fire scuttle buggy being flung at your head, because you're a human, and humans heal differently than trolls. Well, differently from high-blood trolls, at least. You even use your best babysitter voice for good measure. You feel like you're giving a stern talking to about the importance of taking care of one's toys so that they don't break. Instead, you propose, why don't you be friends? You can all play together instead of you being the subject of your torment. They'll be able to play with you for longer that way, too. They give you a strange look. Friends? What's that? Do people not agree to be their playmates very often? No. Usually everyone runs in the other direction. So we have to catch them. Or trick them. That explains a lot. You think you're beginning to understand. If they let you down, you can try and show them what you have in mind. They do. They actually free you. They turn all the lights on in the room too so you can finally see everything in it. It's bigger than you expected, and set up like a circus tent. A wire is suspended along the ceiling, a person-sized target board rotates at dizzying speeds against the back wall. Juggling clubs, knives, scarves, and other props are piled across the floor. You recognize a few of the mechanisms they had inflicted on you before. It's pure chaos. So, what else do they do with all this stuff? They're still staring at you as if they aren't quite sure how to deal with you engaging with them voluntarily. You're feeling pretty tentative yourself. This whole interaction seems incredibly precarious. You're afraid that if you make a misstep, you'll end up back in the tickling rack again. This isn't ours. We just found it when we got here. But it does look a lot like what's in our hive. We can do shows. And stunts. All kinds of cool stuff. Look, even when they aren't threatening you, the way they talk in chorus like that freaks you out a little, in perfect unison, like they're one voice instead of two. You shake off your fears and suggest that they show you a little something. They seem to like that idea. Excitedly, they scurry over to the target board. One twin stands against it while the other picks a handful of throwing knives. You're anxious. You don't exactly want them to rough up each other instead of you, but Barzum just throws the knives in a graceful arc. They surround Baizli perfectly, barely missing him. You gasp, your mouth a perfect O. The twins seem pleased with themselves, laughing together like they're sharing a secret. If you think that's impressive, watch this. They execute a sick flip on a pair of trapezes above a bed of swords, making a daring escape from one of the contraptions they've trapped you in. They move similarly to how they speak, perfectly in tandem with each other. With the variety of obsessions you've seen among your friends, it figures that it was only a matter of time until you met someone who made a hobby of risking their lives. It's not too out there compared to cage fighting, you suppose, or collecting saucy East Alternian figures. You could have just escaped from the trap we put you in earlier, you know? Why didn't you? You laughed nervously. You hadn't exactly had much practice. And maybe it would have been easier if you had someone else to help? You look at the two of them pointedly. You didn't even realize siblings were a thing among trolls, let alone twins. Sibling? What's that? You know, someone you share a lucis with? Someone you hatched with in the same clutch? Are you phrasing that right? We do share a lucis. We share everything. We didn't just hatch from the same clutch. We hatched from the same egg. We were going to be a single troll, but we split in two. Just your bodies, though. Our minds are still one. One person, two bodies. That's interesting. But you have different aspects. I'm going to write that down as a thought, that they consider themselves one person, but they do have two distinct class specs. So, I think this might be the first instance of, like, I'd speculated before on, like, what would happen with, like, a fusion-type character. Things like Steven Universe gems and Homestuck, like, what would happen if you had someone who was kind of fused, because there's previous things you can springboard off of, like Calliope and Caliborn technically sharing one body but being two separate people, having two distinct class specs. But things like Solix technically being kind of bipolar, like having sort of almost two different personalities but having the same class spec. Here we find the happy medium, it seems, where there's one person, one mind, but two different personalities, two different bodies. So instead of being one class spec, they do indeed share different class specs. So I'm wondering how much of a fusion this would be, because say Garnet from Steven Universe, fusion of Ruby and Sapphire. Ruby and Sapphire have two complete distinct class specs. I think Mage of Doom and Knight of Light I put them as. But together, they become a Mage and Knight of Time. So they share an aspect, but they have two distinct classes. I wonder if the case with Baizli and Barzum here is that they might have two distinct aspects, but they might share the same class, which I think might be the case that we're going with here. They're not conjoined twins. No, they were just identical twins. Conjoined twins means like they're physically like they're still attached. They're not still attached here. We're one and the same. Okay, maybe siblings aren't a thing on Alternia after all. Being literally the same person is quite a bit different from the human concept of twins or siblings. Somehow this leads to them telling you all about a number of exploits they have with some of the other kids in their neighborhood. One story leads to another, and soon you're recounting some of your adventures too. They particularly love your attempt at giving an impression of Nike, clapping and crowing as you get into a dramatic power stance and flex your flimsy muscles. You can't help but feel a little proud of yourself. You feel like the guy in Jurassic Park who walked into the Velociraptor den all, "Be chill, my dudes," and they actually listened to him. Besides, there was something great about making kids laugh, even kids who were trying to murder you less than an hour ago. The twins are in the middle of talking about a prank they'd planned that they find hilarious, and that you've been trying hard not to grimace in horror at when you feel it, a certain change in the air. Didn't they mention they had been stuck here? Did we? Yes, we have. When we try to go out the door, some sort of force pushes us back. You're the first other person we've seen since we got here. You have a hunch that might have changed. Why don't you all try again? They look at you skeptically. Yeah, if you want. It's not going to be any different, though. You just tell them to trust you. You look at the front door. The twins are crowding you from either side, clinging onto your arms and edging so close it's like they're trying to burrow into you. Ready? They nod. You push against the door. It opens and you breathe in the cool evening air. Not so fast. We've gotten this far before, but we won't be able to go any farther. You'll see. You take one step, then another. As you look beyond the grounds of the house, you see things that you hadn't when you first got here. Mountains in the distance, other houses. Before, all you could see was shrubbery. You pick up the pace. The house falls away behind you, disappearing into the fog. Whoa. You did it. You actually did it. We can finally leave. They swoop in to grab you, hugging you hard. The curving horns in their masks almost stab you in the cheek. These things are a bit of a hazard when their wearers only come up to about where your chest is. They keep talking before you can get a word in, pulling you forwards and shuffling you along between them. It looks like you were right. It wasn't just enough to save yourself. You had to save them, too. You don't know how, but the key to making this little patch of universe obey the rules of reality once more was friendship all along. You should have seen your face. You were shit your games tubes terrified. You heave a sigh at their innocent giggling surrounds you like you're so many playful ghosts. Yes, you say. Very clever. They were the ones behind all this nonsense, weren't they? You started guessing somewhere towards the end, you wiggle your hands vaguely all the time stuff. They sure scared you, all right. No. That wasn't us. We were talking about the bloody walls and creepy sounds. None of that was real. That was all us. That was all chuckle voodoos. We're the best at chuckle voodoos. We got you so good. They both bounced beside you excitedly. You blink back at them. You had no idea what the heck chuckle voodoos are, but you can only guess that it's some sort of illusionary thing. So they didn't have any interest to do with time messing up, folding in on itself? No. We told you. We've been trying to get out of that stupid house for wipes. Maybe an perigee. Did you really think that was our hive? Our place is so much cooler than that dump. Visit their actual hive. You have your reservations about that, but you can't find it within you to say no as they eagerly pull you along, one twin tugging your hand, the other looping an arm in yours. You look back at the house one last time. You have no clue whether the twins are lying or if they're telling the truth, what really caused what happened here, but right now you're content in knowing that you'll never have to see this place ever again. Not yet. There are other routes. It feels very nice to end on their route here. It seems kind of what I meant to do, probably. Okay. So now... No fucking way. Yeah, no, that's not happening. Didn't you just establish that this place gives you the heebiest of jeebies? Plus, there's always the chance that the inhabitant will cull instead of help you. You're sticking to your original plan, thank you very much. Firmly ignoring the house, you continue on your way. You make good progress for a while. Your map app's saying you're heading in the right direction, except... Oh, what the fuck? Why are you here again? Did you take a wrong turn somewhere? Whatever, you're not going to dwell on it. Time is running out. You need to get away from the stupid house pronto. You'll make sure to do it right. This time you'll go... Oh, more choices left. Okay, you split, breaking into a job. The scenery flicks past you as you pick up the pace, urgency spurring you on. It's getting even lighter. Won't be long now. What? You checked your palm again. You're right back where you started, even though just a moment ago the map's GPS put you at a decent distance away. This is ridiculous. There's obviously something weird going on, but the suns are creeping up over the horizon. Time's up. There's nothing else for it. You make your way in towards the house, even though everything inside with you is screaming at you to stay away. Even though with every step you take, your chest tightens and your hands tremble. By the time you reach the door, you're shaking like a leaf. Adrenaline zings through you. You could choke on it. You want to run, but you force yourself to keep moving forward. It's a slow-motion race between you and the sunrise. At this rate, the suns will make it all the way into the sky before you can even knock. And I think... Yeah, we're just continuing on here. Yeah, okay. And just continuing this route. Yeah, okay. Search for another exit. Has to be something else here. Ignoring the voice's instructions, you examine the walls of the corridor instead. Soon enough, you notice something funny about one of the paintings. Its frame seems much thicker than the others, but strikes you as somehow suspicious. Feeling along its bottom edge reveals a button. You push it, there's a groaning sound, and part of the wall folds itself away, revealing a tunnel of some sort. Ha! You knew it. You're so focused on trying to make your escape that you rush through with the opening without looking. If you'd been more careful, you might have noticed one very important thing. Past this doorway, there's no floor. Your feet meet thin air, sending you pitching downwards. Drat, you think, as you plunge towards the pit of knives beneath you. You'd reached a follower milestone on Chitter the other day, too, and you hadn't gone around to bequeathing it like any of your friends in case something like this had happened. Your final regretful thoughts are of your account, dusty and abandoned, with no one there to continue to update it after you're gone. Okay, let's fall through the floor. Everything ends in death, except in the place where I need to go. Just want to try one more thing. I went left, now I have to go right. I think it's just the same thing, though. Yeah. Okay. Doesn't matter. Right, there's this one. I chose remembered who I am that time. Okay. There's one thing you've been doing wrong, appealing to the twins to let you go. All they seem to care about is torturing you. Of course, simply asking them for your freedom isn't going to work. You'll want to do things differently this time. If you want to escape, you'll have to go on the offensive. You wake up again. Just check. Bleeding walls game, check, check, check. You head towards the twins' room. Stand back, you yell before they can launch into the tirade. You're a weird, scaly alien with superpowers, and you're not afraid to use them. You switch on your phone's torch app, waving it around. You even attempt to intimidate war for added effect. The only superpowers you're aware of is your irresistible charm and a set of truly banging gams, so they don't even know that. The gambit works. They don't cower in fear exactly, but they're bamboozled enough for you to look frantically around the room as much as you can with your paltry light source. There, an air vent with a loose grill. With a desperate yell, you launch yourself up towards it and crawl inside. The twins, finally aware that this is all just an elaborate ruse, start shouting after you. Twins' indignant voices start to fade as you wriggle deeper into the dusty guts of the house. You can't have very long. It's only a matter of time until the diminutive terrors climb into the vents after you. Or maybe they'll run ahead and then cut you off via one of the other rooms the vent's connected to. They must know the layout of the house better than you do. Much to your surprise, though, you emerge at one of the outside walls with no trouble. It's dusk, not day, for which you mutter a quick thank you to your merciful overlords. From here, it's a simple matter of picking your way down the vines until you get to the bottom. Once your feet touch the ground, you start running. When you cast one last wild glance back over your shoulder, you catch sight of them, your captors, who you successfully hoodwinked. They're standing in the grand front doorway screaming. You have no idea why they aren't coming after you, but you don't question it, pumping your legs until they're burning. It's a good thing you spent all that time jogging with Stelsa. You've really gotten good at running away from your problems. You stop running once you can't see the house anymore. You're a little surprised that getting away turned out to be that simple. But you know better than to look a gift hoofbeast in this wallpaper. Relief floods you through you in waves. You did it. You got away. You slow down to a leisurely walking pace, pulling out your phone as you go. You have a slew of texts from Skilla, who'd been wondering what happened to you after you never turned up. Her invitation to come over and hang out still stands, though. Oh boy, you can't wait to finally make your way over there and chill with her. You'd never play favorites among your pals, but you have to admit that you have a particular fondness for Skilla. Her whole thing where she always makes sure not to cause you any bodily harm, that definitely has its charms. You keep walking, but after a while your stomach starts to sink. It's been a half an hour, and your surroundings don't look any different. You should be closer to Skilla's neck of the woods by now. It's not until you catch sight of the weathered wall wound with ivy that you realize what's going on. It's the house again. You're still stuck. You're not going to be able to leave its grounds no matter how much you walk. You might have escaped the house, but whatever curse or time-space witchcraft there isn't confined to within those walls. You're in a pocket dimension of some sorts, and you don't know how to break out. So now you can either return to the twins, since they're the only company you have out here, or make these bushes your new best friends. You look dolefully out at the mouths of scraggy underbrush before you. You'd probably best get used to gazing at nothing but this, since it's all you're going to be seeing for a long, long time. Forever lost. Oh boy. I mean, at least until the suns come up and you won't get into the house again. Okay. So what didn't offer me do I want to understand that time? So is that supposed to be the route that's supposed to happen? Like, are you not supposed to befriend Barzum and Baizli? Anyway, for classes, let's see here. They seem to have a pretty low threshold for empathy and morality, kind of. But that might just be due to their upbringing and not, being around trolls all that much. They do seem kind of accidentally destructive. But I wouldn't say that they're a destruction class. Because here's the thing, their aspects are breath and doom. Doom is obviously the more monotone one, who's seems kind of sad. The breath one seems the one that's more just focused on wanting to play. And they're both excited and wanting to do that kind of thing. If I were to guess, I'm probably saying they're probably a page. Not even just because of how young they are and how inexperienced they are with all kinds of things, but I don't think there's any one other class that works for them. Because they wouldn't be a rogue. They're not really trying to steal anything. They're morally ambiguous, but they're not thieves. That's not what they're trying to do. They're just trying to play and have fun, and they're just fumbling around and maybe not doing it the best way, but they're really confident in what they're doing is the best way to do it. And they're kind of stumbling through it, but even though it's clearly obvious to people outside, they're like, hey, they're not doing it the best way. They're like, well, we're not hurting you. You're fine. I'll heal. Drowning you in water doesn't kill you, right? Right. So they're probably both page. And I'm assuming that they're the same page, if that makes sense. Yeah, I have no idea about the achievements in this game. I've never gotten any achievements. They don't do anything, as far as I can see. But I'm going to put them down as Page of Breath and Page of Doom. Seems pretty good. Oh boy, so that's all those class specs here. And I do think they are probably a fusion in the sense of they are it's not that Barzum is a Page of Breath and Baizli is a Page of Doom. It's that the Barzum / Bailey is a Page of Breath and Doom, if that makes sense. Because that seems to be the angle they're going with. Anyway, now I want to understand. Sort of creature always does. Your worn out last night was, well, it sure was something you lived, probably, you learned definitely, and you made choices, you had to. And after all this time, here you still are. So after a day of recuperation from ragers and houses of horror, you're walking the streets of the place you may as well start calling home. You've changed out of your party gear, opting for your old hoodie standby if it's the mood you're in. You're not really looking to meet anyone new tonight. Well, you wouldn't say no, probably, but you're not jonesing for it. Only a little. It's complicated. After an indeterminate amount of minutes of aimless walking, you look around at where you've ended up. You seem to have wandered into a dirt pile. Oh, you know this dirt pile. It's Fozzer's corpse field. How did you get here, you wonder? You're pretty sure you were just on the other side of the city with no particular desire to come anywhere near here. It's probably fine. Just your deep, innate bro-honing skills taking over your goddamn body. Just little friendship things. You look around for your pal Fozzer, peeking down into a few of the deeper holes. You might as well say hello since you're here and all. Holy shit, that again? Curiosity killed the cat, but you're definitely got more than 9 lives, so you shrug and slide, not gracefully, down into the shiny hole. Fawzer is nowhere to be found, but there is a window down there. It's almost completely unearthed, and doesn't take much effort to free it the rest of the way. Oh boy, we're getting into it. At first you think it might be some cool new trash you could make art with, but when you look closer you reconsider. There's a whole ass room you can see through the pane of glass lying at your feet. That's weird. Weirdness isn't typically a deterrent for you, W. But usually there's at least some causational coherence. Doors are in walls, walls surround rooms. You aren't used to finding parlors in ditches. Is there a latch or something? Should you do a polite little knock? There might be friends in there. Damn, you could really go for some friends right now. Is there a protocol for approaching ditch window? Allow me to stop you there. I am a timeless being, a void, but even my patience has its limits. Fun is fun, but this frivolous navel-gazing is no longer necessary. Come in from behind the shadow of that narrative text. It's so very hard to see your face. Oh boy. You aren't sure where you are, and it's unsurprisingly a little nerve-wracking. You look over your shoulder at the window you guessed you just fucking came on through. The Alternian sky is framed by the edge of your dirt hole, and the knot in your stomach loosens a bit. Hopefully that means this is a two-way portal. You look at your surroundings, and oh, there's someone here. The guy you just heard, you assume. He doesn't look like any of the other aliens you've met. Oh, I'm not an alien. Or, no more than any of us are alien to each other. The fact, nothing is alien to me. The root concept behind that term is alienation, being forced from that which is natural. Nothing is unnatural to me. I look upon all realities as equally inviting and approachable. It's you, my dear, who are out of place. I could see that even if I was not omniscient, which I am. Okay, so not an alien, with no horns or a cast sign, though he's definitely not a troll. Whatever he is, he seems to be white, just really white and round, and his outfit is admittedly kind of dope. Looking at him really ramps up your friend thirst. He's just got this quality about him that you've got to get with. You take a step toward him, almost without thinking about it. Oh, my apologies. That compulsion has become extraneous. Let me take care of it for you. He snaps his finger and your knees buckle. The force of the universe presses down on you like a G-force. You blink and somehow he's there immediately, arms outstretched to catch you as you fall. He steers you to a chaise lounge and you drape yourself weakly into it. Please have a seat. The emotional transition might be a tad uncomfortable, but I know you've handled worse. You're quite the soldier. Allow me to be the first to say that I'm very pleased with your work. I knew exactly what you were going to do, of course. And most of your work was, in fact, my work. Regardless, congratulations are in order. What is this guy talking about? Your work? You try to parse what he's saying, but your body's still shaking from whatever he just did to you. It's hard to think in here. You suddenly sharply don't feel friendly towards him at all anymore, or toward anyone. The void left by that feeling is a freshly gaping horror. It's like who you thought you were caved in itself, a black hole of personality, eating your body up from the inside. You try to pull your shit together. He seems like he means business. This is no time to lose it, no matter if your sense of self is shattering. When you truly reflect on yourself, you surely can't, with any honesty, claim to believe any of this was your own making. Crash landing on a hostile alien world, surviving the impact, dragging around a half-broken body, and somehow not immediately being eaten by local fauna. Did you learn an alien language just by thinking about it very, very hard? Right. Malik said something about that you were speaking perfect Alternian, and it was kind of weird, but you just kind of accepted it for no good reason. That's your whole deal. Your friends are all accepted your quirks, that's what friends do. You say it to convince yourself as much as to prove it to him. So many trolls, so many fascinating aliens, and all of them wanted to know you. Did you really think you managed that on your own laurels? Were they all drawn to an indefinable something, a je ne sais quoi? Well, yeah, you had this whole emotional arc. You got self-confidence, you grew as a person, and helped others to grow. The white text guy doesn't make expressions, but you get the feeling he's looking at you pityingly. I find you sweet. Honestly, I do. I don't intend to cause emotional injury. I'm just telling you the truth. I never lie, you'll find. It isn't like you don't have admirable qualities of your own, of course. You have made quite the valuable vessel for me, and I appreciate that very much. Ooh, we've been a vessel. I could not have done it without you. I'm only joking. I absolutely could have done it without you. This is just infinitely more fun to do these things together, is it not? What things? What did you do? What did you do? You hope you didn't do something that'll fuck over all your friends. Though when you try to think about them now, the bonds you felt before came up all twisted. Without the artificial friendship drive he's given you pushing you forward, you're not even sure what those memories are supposed to feel like. You close your eyes and breathe. You try to remember the way Polyp had touched your face after you had touched hers, the claws trailing down your cheek, how Tizia slept, trusting as you kept your watch. How Tagora gave you a chance when he saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself, how not that long ago you got the chitter handle of an extremely friendly jade-blooded boy. Those moments are like the memory of warmth to you now, blurry, cold, and out of reach. Was all of that nothing? Your heart is a chasm. Don't worry so much about it. I simply needed some dots connected, some pieces in place for my next move. Choose whichever metaphor suits you. Whichever way you frame it, because of you, everyone will soon be in their right place. Shit, what have you done? Your head starts to spin and you think you might cry, so you pull up your hood above your head to block out the harsh green of the room. You try to imagine it still smells a little like Malik. It doesn't. It doesn't smell like anything, really. But you remember what it smelled like at first, and you hold on to that. It was real, you tell yourself. Your friends were real, and what you felt for them and with them was real too. You're so afraid for them, and as guilty as you feel for craving it, the fear just makes you need those feelings you felt before even more. You're clawing desperately for the euphoria of caring, of being cared for. Who cares if your hand was forced? You felt it, and it still matters. You remember how you felt watching Chixie perform, bathed in the light and righteous anger, and how you drunkenly commiserated with her later, when, no, that's not right, that didn't happen, except you still remember how hungover you were the next day. Just when you started making sense of things, the whole fucking world shifts under your feet again. You just can't keep up with all this moving real estate in your brain. Ah yes, all of the resets, annoying but necessary. You were just indescribably bad at keeping yourself alive and in one piece, and you weren't quite as adept at befriending aliens to start out with. My intervention was necessary to keep you on the right path. Time and space mean very little to me, but I had to move quickly, and again, repeatedly. Swipe some incriminating note-taking here, befriend an impressionable young art scout there, anger a collar bearer, inspire some bandits, you know how it is. You have to throw the temporal spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. I'm sure if you look back, you'll be able to see traces of my deft touch. So a few memories may have slipped through the cracks here and there, timelines tend to collapse and on each other if you aren't careful. Your ability to mentally withstand such an event, and so often, is a testament to my acumen in choosing you for the task. You even almost caught on a few times, which I must say I was not expecting. You almost listened to the silly little girl who likes to dress up in big coats and cause me trouble. And as always, some bystanders end up caught in the crossfire. The one with the shovel, for instance, I doubt his mind will ever be the same. A pity. You sit up straighter and clench your hands into fists. Over the course of his pompous monologue, you move past fear and grief and into deep, globe-chafing rage. How dare he do this to your mind, to your friends' lives? What's so important that one white orb asshole had to fuck with the destinies of everyone you've grown to care about? There are answers out there, and you deserve them, and so you demand them. Adorable. Yikes, you shift on the chase lounge so as to better hide your famous legs from this creepy round fucker. Oh, calm down. All of you and your adherence to societal expectations and archetypes. Perhaps one day you could just learn to take a compliment. Besides, I was being condescending. So you demand answers. He sighs theatrically. You aren't sure where the noise is coming from. He doesn't even have a mouth. How is he even talking? How the fuck does anything work at all? I knew you would, but I find explaining myself incredibly tedious. Suffice it to say, I am a man with many boards and fields of play, and although there are countless ways to move the players around these boards, some are doubtlessly more entertaining than others. You were simply Mun-Pong among many. I won't bore you with the details. Doubtless you are aware of the greater contextual framework of this story. The hell you are. You aren't even aware of jack shit. Your head is full of question marks. Oh, of course. How thoughtless of me. See, yet another unfortunate side effect of the limitless conversing with the narratively limited. He taps a thumb and forefinger to his orb. Perhaps it would suit you better to understand gradually. And when I say gradually, please understand that I mean it. You won't be leaving. But yes, I do believe this will clarify some things for you. This way, please. He opens the door and gestures inside. There's light coming from in there, but it still gives off the vibe of a dark closet door with an unfamiliar bedroom at 3 a.m. You're afraid, yeah, but you want to understand even more. So, main character's hand is like a cue ball. Yeah. Yeah, it's in the troll dialogue style too. So I find it interesting that I think my mage Classpect for him is like right on the money. At the core of everything, whenever stuff is undone, he wants to understand. You stand up and take a step, conscious of the movement of the muscles in your legs. With the rosy sheen of your friendship hypnosis or whatever the fuck he did to you gone, the sensation of moving your own body feels heightened, important, yours. There's probably a version of you that would try to turn him down, or that would fight or run or take a nap on this surprisingly comfortable piece of antique furniture. You even consider rushing back to say goodbye to somebody, anybody at least, but you know there isn't time to click through all that bullshit. Those tributaries flicker in your mental periphery, so tangible you can almost hear yourself choosing them, but you pull your focus back to your present and look him right in the orb. You'll just have to trust they'll remember you, because the you you've become after this journey, after all this friendship and growth and death and time, that you needs to understand. You owe it to your friends, but even more you owe it to yourself. You found your river, and you're going to see where it leads. So you follow him. Sit here, please. In the interest of expediency, I will leave you to your own devices while I deal with an expected but entirely unwanted guest. It shouldn't be too hard to parse out the truth on your own. All you need to do is read a brief webcomic. Oh wow, it takes me to the Homestuck page. That's hilarious. A brief webcomic, you say? Okay, well that was fun. Definitely solidifies my idea of main character as a mage of blood, but I will say that that may have been tinted by Doc Scratch. So he's for sure a mage, but of blood? Maybe not. As it turns out, the main character is MSPA reader. Yeah. That's what I kind of figured from the start, because he looks exactly like him. I thought it was just like a cute reference, but no, if it actually is the MSPA reader guy. I wonder if he's gonna become like a character in Hiveswap proper then, or like what if it happens to him in Homestuck? Isn't there like a panel where he just like considers like shooting himself in the face as like a joke? But yeah, that's about my thoughts right there. And my throat is hurting. I've been coughing more and more, so I'm gonna stop now. It's been like 2.5 hours of constant speech. This is all gonna go up onto the YouTube channel, of course, and then I'll make a post about it on Tumblr. But for now, yeah. I hope this was fun for you guys. Bye-bye.